Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We have discussed vegetative propagation, different methods of vegetative propagation, and advantage and disadvantage of vegetative propagation. Now today we will take up sexual reproduction in flowering plants. But before taking the actual this process of sexual reproduction in flowering plants, let us first take the flower. The flower is the most important organ. It is the fascinating organ. So before taking sexual reproduction, we must have a familiarity about flower. These flowers, they have served as an important offering to man, as an important offering to God, an invariable aid for personal makeup, and a source of inspiration to the poets. And man has been using the flowers from the beginning of the civilization for his different purposes, for his personal makeup, and poets have been inspired by flowers. They have become poets only because of the flower, because this flower represents beauty, and it is the beauty which is liked always by man. Since the beginning of human civilization, man has been accustomed to use flowers to make his festivals more festive. Being so much involved with man's daily life, flowers have developed a language of their volume and can speak volumes of human sentiments. Any volumes of human sentiments can be explained with the help of a flower. So we are dealing with plants. For plants, flowers are the structures of sexual reproduction. Structures of sexual reproduction. And out of the various organs, root, stem, leaf, flowers, these flowers are the organs of sexual reproduction. The various embryological processes, the various embryological processes which are essential for their sexual reproduction occur in a flower. And the various embryological processes which are essential for their sexual reproduction, for the sexual reproduction of plants, occur in a flower. Therefore, while studying embryology, and to study sexual reproduction means to study embryology, that is to study the development of the embryo. It is essential while studying embryology. It is essential to acquire a familiarity with the organization of the flower, with the structure of the flower, with the functions of the flower. And before taking this embryology or the process of sexual reproduction, we must have a familiarity about the organization, structure, and function of the flower. The flower is the most characteristic structure in angiosperms. It is the most characteristic structure of angiosperms. It is a complex unit. This flower is when we study its structure, when we see its structure, it is a complex unit comprising of, consisting of, or consisting typically of those parts which directly or indirectly contribute in the process of sexual reproduction. And when we study a structure, when we see the structure of a flower, it is a complex unit consisting typically of those parts which directly or indirectly contribute to the process of sexual reproduction. And when we study a typical flower, when we study a typical angiospermic flower, we see that this typical angiospermic flower, it has four different sets of organs for the flower is the most characteristic structure, as I have already. It is a complex unit consisting typically of those parts which directly or indirectly contribute to the process of sexual reproduction. A typical angiosperm flower consists of four different sets of parts. Consisting of four different sets of parts: calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. And a flower, it is comprised of four different sets of parts: the calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. Out of these, the calyx and corolla, outer two whorls, they are called accessory whorls or helping whorls, because they help in sexual reproduction. That is, they indirectly take part in sexual reproduction. For example, calyx, it is the outermost green part of a flower, green whorl of a flower, which is comprised of individual units called sepals. And main function of these sepals is to protect the flower, in bud condition, and also photosynthesis, to produce food for the flower. Similarly, another part, that is corolla, its individual units are called petals. This is the colored part of a flower, and its main function is that it has also secondary function. It also helps in reproduction, sexual reproduction, not directly take part in reproduction. By one, it also protects the flower in bud condition. That is, one function is common to both calyx and corolla, and another function is it attracts the flowers. It attracts the flowers for it attracts the pollinators for pollination. It attracts the flowers towards the flower when it attracts the pollinators, that is birds, insects, and other these animals, these animals for pollination. But the androecium and the gynoecium, androecium is the male reproductive part of a flower, whorl of a flower. It is comprised of individual units called stamens. These stamens produce male gametes. And gynoecium is the female reproductive whorl of a flower. Its individual units are called carpels or pistils. Which produce female gametes. Female gametes. It produces female gametes. That means these two whorls, that is androecium and gynoecium, they directly take part in sexual reproduction by producing male and female gametes. That is why we also call them as reproductive whorls or essential whorls. And these two whorls are also known as reproductive or essential whorls because they directly take part in reproduction and they are essential for the process of sexual reproduction. They are essential for the process of reproduction. Now this structure of the flower we will study in detail in other lectures. This is all for today. Thank you.